Just a few moments ago, I mentioned we'll begin by simply arriving. And this arriving this practice that we refer to as arriving, it's something that we will remind ourselves has very practical application in our day-to-day lives. Because as you all know, each and every one of us, we carry with us a story. Some of these stories are disguised as challenges, and they take many different forms: finances, relationships, bodily health. And the reason we have these stories is simply because we're here to grow. Let's just remind ourselves that we're here to grow, and these challenges, these obstacles, they're like signposts that help us to grow. So long as we resist them, as we push against them, they continue to persist. Sometimes they continue to get larger and larger. But as we allow, as we learn to allow, as we learn to acknowledge, as we learn to experience without necessarily physically reacting, just experience and then release. We experience growth. We begin to experience growth, evolution, movement. Our ability to love expands. Our ability to receive love expands. Our ability to share kindness and receive kindness expands. And so this is a practice of allowing, acknowledging, of being, of experiencing the present moment in its entirety. And for us, the present moment is simply this moment where we meet together. Streams, little streams arriving from different directions, merging into this lake called the present moment. Streams that emerge from different peaks, different points, moving through a different set of parents or guardians, different schools, different books, different partners. But now, reaching that edge where the story ends, and we simply begin to pour ourselves into the present moment, onto the seats and cushions upon which we find our bodies resting upon. Now, that's not too difficult an image to picture, is it? Because our bodies are made up predominantly of water. And so relax your muscles and get in touch with that soft, fluid part within yourself, allowing it to pour onto your chairs, onto your cushions, onto your seats or mats, or wherever it is that you find yourself resting on. Your shape gradually beginning to emerge as you find yourself resting, arriving into this lake, pouring into this lake called the present moment. You will notice that even though you arrive into the present moment, into this lake, it's not an immediate silence or stillness that you experience, but initially it's bubbling, it's gurgling, it's the impact of the stream pouring into this lake. And this is what we refer to as the process called arriving. You will still notice your thoughts. Some of them holding on to memories as recent as a few moments ago, as this morning, and some of them way back from your past history. But that is not a problem because there is still much identification with the stream. But our practice today is about arriving a little bit more into this lake called the present moment. In fact, stepping outside and beyond time so that we no longer even need that quality we refer to as patience, where we become allowing of these stories, but yet sensing how they belong in a different chapter called the past, a different chapter called the future. As we continue to allow the stream to fall, fall and fall, making more and more contact with the present moment, aligning ourselves more completely into the present moment. And we want this practice to be practical in our day-to-day lives. And there are those moments when we've had a disagreement in one of our relationships, an unexpected bill or diagnosis about our health or someone we care dearly about. It is at moments like that, moments like this, that we seek to arrive into the present moment, align ourselves into the present moment, allow the stories to all simply pour into the present moment, where we develop the ability to recognize the past as the past and the future as a mirage that may never occur. And so, amidst one of those turbulent stories, you might be walking, you might be on a busy street, or you might be in one of your favorite green spaces. You might be in your garden, you might be in your living room, or your dining room, or your kitchen. You will arrive just as you arrive at this moment onto these seats, onto these cushions, developing the ability to distinguish the mirage from the fact, the truth that we are here practicing together, like-minded beings, many of us who have known each other for a very long time, connecting simply by tapping into the present moment. And this lake called the present moment that we arrive into, it has no borders, it has no base. It is simply a bottomless and infinite lake space beyond the comprehension of the mind, beyond the definition of any words that we may have ever used or will learn. And therefore, we step outside of our minds and beyond our thoughts and simply be here now. We have 5 incredible doorways that lead us into this present moment. Our 5 senses, irrespective of what we see, hear, or imagine within our minds, we know that our bodies are here experiencing this privacy, this comfort, this relative quiet, this stillness, this company around us that where words are no longer necessary. And so we will simply spend these first few moments of arriving by utilizing these 5 senses, Why don't we begin with our sense of touch? And you can start off with that part of the body which most of us associate with touch, the tips of our fingers. Find the tips of your fingers, and if you like, you can wriggle your fingers about and just notice what temperatures, textures, humidity levels, and so on that they may be experiencing. As you can imagine, one of my palms are resting on a part of my body, on my legs, and another part is holding on to this little stick which I'm using for the bell. What about your fingers? Where are they? What can you experience? You don't have to give too much meaning to it. Just experience. You don't have to define the sensations too much. Just keeping it simple. Knowing that your hands are here in this moment. The palms, the back of the hand. The sensations seeping through both your arms. Some of us have long-sleeved pieces of clothing in our upper bodies, and therefore you feel the fabric resting upon your arms, defining the outline of your form. This tool we refer to as our bodies. And then your shoulders, the chest and the upper back, the mid regions of the body and the lower back, and the stomach, and then the pelvic region and the legs, and those surfaces underneath the legs and the pelvic area that support the body. Some of us on chairs, some of us on cushions. The soles of the feet, perhaps meeting the flooring or the carpeting through some thin layer of clothing or socks or blankets that may be covering our bodies. This is what arriving feels like. And you don't always obviously have to be seated in this position, in these positions. You could be walking, you could be cooking, you could be eating, you could be exercising, you could even be listening or speaking. But in presence, where? In this only moment called the present moment. And this sense of touch, it extends to the nostrils, to the nasal passage. It extends within the body through this area where air interacts with skin. As the air flows in up the nasal passage, through the nostrils, the rims of the nostrils, and down the upper lip as we breathe out, as we exhale. Do you remember how we poured ourselves into this lake, this infinite present moment? Let's just for a moment imagine that we were bopping about at the surface of this lake. There are still the currents and the bubbling and the gurgling and the little bubbles as the stream makes impact with the lake. There are waves, some of them large, some of them small, and then there are the weather patterns and the breeze that creates these ripples on the surface of this vastness of this lake. Having outlined the surfaces around our body, can you notice how all around our body such changes are occurring? There are the sounds. There are the sounds around us. Obviously, I have no idea what you can hear. You might be hearing birds or traffic or mobile phones or car alarms going off. Well, on my side of the world, on this side, I can hear a car outside my window. I can hear children playing in the playground. I can hear the washing machine in a different room. Whatever you can hear, give it permission to exist and coexist with you in this present moment, because every single one of these sounds represent a crucial and vital part, a piece of this jigsaw puzzle called the present moment. And then there are the thoughts. Now, the thoughts we can liken to the winds. We can liken to the mist that flows over this lake, the little water droplets, just like that in those images from Niagara Falls of water droplets, clouds of water, maybe even clouds in the sky. Give these thoughts permission to exist. Simply acknowledge them. That's how in Buddhism, that's the word they tend to use. Acknowledge. That means knowing that it's there, acknowledging it, accepting it, but not necessarily needing to react to them. In fact, allowing them to flow past just like the clouds. It would be futile to attempt to hold on to clouds, would it not? And therefore, release as best as you can, nothing more, nothing less. And then there are the physical sensations. Some of us may be experiencing little pockets of discomfort or tightness, having not been accustomed to to being still for these periods of time. Again, acknowledging, accepting, allowing, and if you must, changing your posture or giving yourself a stretch, if that helps at all. But now, why don't we move underneath this vast body of water? The teachers, they describe it as a space of stillness and silence, a space beyond time, a space where there is kindness and beauty and much which has yet been defined through words or images. And for this, we return back to our breath, using our breath as a bridge that will transport us underneath and within. Awaken the skin around the nostrils, the nasal passage, and all of those different areas where you are able to experience your breath. The walls of the chest, the walls of the stomach, the insides of the rib cage and the stomach, and then breathe. Of course, you're always breathing, but be more conscious than ever before. With the next ringing of the bell, invoking that quality we often refer to as the beginner's mind. Where every memory of what breathing should feel like or has felt like fades away, just like the clouds that seem to pass us by. And this breath that is about to be taken in becomes the first breath, the only breath. Curious, interested, experiencing. As this breath becomes a bridge, a tunnel, carrying you underneath the surface of this lake, where everything becomes that little bit more quieter. Not absolutely quiet, but just a little bit quieter than it was a moment ago. And then you breathe out slowly, gently, magnifying every sensation. Breathing in even deeper this time, following the breath as it makes its way down the throat, through the ribs and the chest and all the way down into the stomach as the stomach wall rises and the insides expand. And if you've ever watched one of those National Geographic documentaries where the cameras take you deep within the oceans and the seas, this is an opportunity to experience that stillness yet again, but for the first time, the only time. Your stomach walls expanding as you breathe in. Your stomach wall slowly and gently and gradually falling as you breathe out as slowly and as gently as you can, magnifying every sensation that is only being experienced in this present moment, bringing you, aligning you here, now. Even as you breathe out, the surface around you, the surfaces around you, the sounds around you, the sensations that you experienced a moment ago are all experienced somewhat differently through the filters of silence and stillness, beyond good, beyond bad, beyond judgments of likes, of dislikes. You will almost certainly notice how, as you breathe out, as you emerge into this world of movement, of change, of sounds, of sensations, and most importantly, of thoughts, you will find yourself being carried away by some of these clouds, some of these thoughts. But that does not mean that you are failing in this practice in any way. For that is the nature of the mind, an opportunity to recognize how and when it is that we get carried away by these clouds. Spend a moment witnessing, not even judging those moments when you get carried away by the thoughts, by the clouds. Allowing this to happen. What happens when we allow the mind to think, the sounds around us to emerge, to linger, and then to disappear? Our identification begins to shift from that which is changing and moving to that which allows us to experience that movement, that change. Our identification begins to shift back into this lake, this vastness, this space, this kindness, this beauty that is unchanging, that is unmoving, that simply just is. Continuing to maintain deep breaths in, slow breaths out. Each breath in, allowing you to dive that little bit deeper into the present moment. No longer seeking to find the base of this vast lake, but simply acknowledging and accepting even this as a process, an end in itself. Every moment, an end in itself. No longer needing to strive or to be anywhere other than where we find ourselves. Let each intake of breath represent a new start, a new beginning. I know you've heard these words many times before, but in the present moment, they take on a profound and deep meaning because you are becoming a new person. We are becoming something that has yet to have been defined, because you need the mind to define, and the mind only knows how to define through the past, through the lens of the past. And as we breathe in, we allow this breath to be a new birth, a new start. Using the esoteric language, a new frequency, a new vibration. With the breath out, letting go of that old you, that old me. Not needing to define which parts to keep and which parts to release. Releasing it all. Breathing in. A new birth. For the first time, the innocence, the curiosity, the playfulness, the permission that we once did not need to cry, to smile, to experience our emotions, freeing ourselves of all of the filters, filters that belong in the stream that we had once identified with. What does it feel like to allow every breath to represent a letting in of more kindness that we had ever envisioned into our lives? As we breathe out, releasing some of those definitions that belong in the stream. How many of us once defined abundance as physical wealth, as money, as property, as bank accounts, as cars, as certain body shapes or images or skin types? Breathing in the abundant air that allows us to breathe so deliciously. Seeing this moment where we merge into the present moment, not only with each other, but with every other artist who creates in the present moment, with every musician who performs in the present moment, with every composer who composes in the present moment, with every actor who acts in the present moment, with every bird that soars through the skies in the present moment, with every wild animal that grazes in the present moment, with every solar flare that emerges from the sun in this present moment, somewhere far, far away, all unfolding in the present moment. Each one of us a piece of this jigsaw puzzle. Some of us in South London, some of us in the United States, some of us in Ireland, each experiencing a very special, very unique present moment. Each and every one of us with our own unique gift, which we bring into this planet. Words, smiles, looks, actions, omissions, which are simply perfect, where standards fade into the background, where we begin to recognize this practice as one that allows us to distinguish the story and the standards from this true expression of uniqueness, of beauty, of kindness, of compassion that we are here to share in our own unique and specific way. And now the final part of the practice, where as we contemplate on these words, on these practices, we use our breath to swim in this lake. My words creating more spaces of silence, the bell always there to bring you back into the present moment. When you find yourself being carried away by one of those clouds, one of those thoughts, one of those sensations, one of those sounds, experiencing every breath. Flows in and out. Releasing even the need to think about the breath. As you simply experience the different sensations of temperatures, somewhat cooler as we breathe in, somewhat warmer as we breathe out. Of direction, of the airflow, the contrast between in and out. Magnifying the humidity levels, as the crisp air flows in, magically transformed into something so much warmer and so much more humid. As it returns back out into the space around us. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, other than simply arrive exactly where we started. A new person emerging after this infinite number of present moments that we have shared together. So much lighter, the lightness bringing you back to the surface of the lake, where you begin to emerge from the depths of silence and stillness and kindness, yet bringing with you all of these qualities Now filtering the sounds, the sensations, all that you will shortly be taking in visually through sounds, through taste, through smell. A practice that does not need to be intellectualized, remembered, replayed. One that has left impressions, deep experiences, profound experiences, which we now know we have the ability to return to, using any of the tools that we have touched on, be it the breath or any of the five senses that become our doorways into the stillness, into the present moment. And now, the bell to mark the beginning of the true practice, where we move through a doorway where the world will soon begin to emerge and present to us new sounds, new tastes, new movements, new colors, new shapes, new textures, which we will experience from moment to moment and breath to breath. Really enjoyed that practice. Thank you so much for being a part of it and bringing your beautiful energies. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinod. Thank you, Vinod.
It's a pleasure.
That was wonderful, Vinod. Thank you so much. Amazing.
It's a pleasure. Hello, Alison, and hello, Safa, and hello, Stuart. Hi.
Hello.
It's good to see all of you. Thank you
Thank you,
so
guys.
much.
Have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love to all of
Vinod.
you. Pleasure. See you all soon. Bye-bye.